What's 2? Oh, yeah, that's a good one. All right, number 1, the minus the square root of 144. In this case, the minus, just kind of, you don't even pay attention to the minus. Okay, when it's on the outside, don't even pay attention to it. Just kind of cover it up, leave it alone, and you'll deal with it later on. The square root of 144 is 12, and then after that, bless you. After that, go ahead and remove the, go ahead and look at the sign in front and apply it. So it's negative 12. We straight on that? All right, number 2, square root of 31 squared. That is 31. Okay. Square root of 31 squared is 31. Now, number 3, cube root of negative 64. What did we get? Negative 4. Now, remember, this does not share the same fate that the negative did yesterday. This is negative 4. Why? Because negative 4 times negative 4 times negative 4 is negative 64. All right? Now, contrast that to what we do later on. You'll get a different answer. 4th root of 81, what is that? What times itself 4 times gives you 81? 3. And you should memorize all your 4th roots at least through 5. Okay. The square root of negative 196 is undefined or not a real number. Undefined or not a real number. Cube root of negative 27 is negative 3. That was the same concept we just saw. Square root of 25 over 121. That's the square root of 25 over the square root of 121. And this is 5 over 11. Number 8, the square root of x squared is the absolute value of x. Why? Because the squared makes this be a positive number, yes? No matter what this is, the square turns it into a positive number. At the very worst, it turns it into 0. But if it's not 0, then it's a positive number. So you got to make sure your answer is a positive number. Well, how do you do that? You do that by using the absolute value. What did you get for this one? This one is just x. And people will say, well, don't you need the absolute value for that? Because it's an odd number. You see, the reason you need an absolute value is because negative 6 squared and positive 6 squared are the same answer. Okay? They both turn out to be positive. So because they both turn out to be positive, you got to make sure this is a positive number. However, negative 2 cubed and 2 cubed, one turns out to be a negative number, one turns out to be a positive number. So whether this answer is positive or negative doesn't matter. And that's why you don't need the absolute values for that.
On number 5, why did you say that it was undefined? Yeah. Why did you say that?
Because you can't take the square root of a negative number. You see, if I say to you, what's the square root of negative 25? What I'm asking you is what number times itself gives me a negative 25? And the answer is you can't get there. Right? Because if you use positive 5 times positive 5 is positive 25, so that won't do it. If you use negative 5, negative times negative is positive, so that won't do it. There's no way to multiply something by itself an even number of times and get to a negative number. Now, the reason why it works for a negative number is because if I say what number times itself 3 times gives you a negative number, well, if this is negative, and this is negative, that ultimately gives as a negative number.
Last one changed.
Okay. Yep. Last one, we'll change it back. Always straight. Going once. Going twice. All right. We're done with that then.